you think of mechanics in Inazuma 11, what comes to mind? Fighting spirits? Mixie Max? Totems? Or maybe even chain shots? When I think of mechanics, a long forgotten one comes to mind. They only appeared in one game and had extremely low distribution. But to this day, I personally feel as if this was one of the best and most underrated mechanics to ever make an appearance in the series. I'm referring to the alter ego system, one of my favorite mechanics. I'm genuinely sad that this feature never reappeared, but I feel as if with a rework with some new life breathed into it, it could genuinely be a phenomenal addition to any future Inazuma 11 game. If we ever receive one. Oh! Alter ego, also known as character change, was a mechanic that was introduced within Inazuma Eleven 2, Firestorm, and Blizzard. And as I mentioned before, this only existed within these games and these games alone. This mechanic allowed a player to switch to an alternate version of themselves during a match, switching personalities. This was done by pressing the L or R button within the tactics screen. The alternate versions of the player had very different characteristics to each other. The two versions of an alter ego player had different stats, innate position, Isatsu, and in one case different elements, and they all had different appearances. I think now is a good time to mention that only 3 characters got alter egos, and one of them lost their alter ego during the story. So technically in the post game there's only 2. The 3 are Fubuki, Scotty, and Valen. Fubuki could alternate between a defender and a striker. Scotty was the same despite his innate position not switching if you alternated between his forms. And finally, the Valen could alternate between a fire type goalkeeper who could do alright in defense too, and an air type striker who could also do okay in midfield. This made these 3 characters unique by not just being a standard character like a lot of the other players in the game. There's more to them than it looks like at first glance. And having multiple forms and multiple purposes for those forms means that there is a lot more strategy possible when it comes to playing out matches. From a story point of view, they are also very interesting, especially in terms of Fubuki. The alter ego system helped us understand and feel more immersed within the plot. But as cool and as fun as this mechanic was, you and I both know there were definitely a lot of missed opportunities when it came to this system. As I just mentioned, there are a lot of missed opportunities. Distribution is obviously one of the larger issues. Having the mechanic only available to 3 out of well over 300 characters resulted in 2 very different things. One of those issues was players hyperfixating on those 3 and not giving many other players a chance, since they lacked any sort of unique feature or gimmick. And the other was the opposite. Despite the mechanic being pretty simple, players might not have explored it enough or even given it much of a chance, as a result of the low distribution and them wanting to make their team out of their favorite characters, who most likely didn't consist of the alter ego trio. In terms of solutions, a remedy for Inazuma 11 2 alone could have been to actually give an alter ego to the Dark Emperors as well as Endo. In terms of the Dark Emperors, it's a pretty straightforward idea. They could have been able to switch between their standard Raimon forms and their Dark Emperor forms throughout the alter ego system. A lot of the original Raimon 11 are routinely overlooked. This could have given them a bit more desirability, leading to them being more loved by the fanbase and overall. In terms of Endo, in the plot there was this whole idea of him being a libero and playing outside of the goal, which was quite cool. The alter ego system could have helped explore it a bit more. He could have had his standard goalkeeping form, but also a libero oriented alter ego form on the side too. I feel as if in future games, due to all the newer mechanics and systems that have been implemented since, it will be a lot harder to make the alter ego system flow well with the game. As cool as it is, if done wrong it could fuck up game balance quite bad. This is just some ideas. Could be like maybe for stuff like the N-Gen genes, like the werewolf simian gene, or maybe even hyperdrive mode 2. They give maybe like a gauge you need to fill before you can use alter ego to swap forms there. Or maybe for like characters like Ichihoshi or Ghoul, then maybe some of the alias players you could just have like a regular alter ego mode similar to the Inazuma 11 2 system. I don't know, there's probably a lot of better ideas or just solid ideas in general, but it'll just be quite hard. Because we have fighting spirits, we have Mixie Max, we have Armed, we have Totems. What else do we have? Probably is a bunch of other stuff I'm forgetting. So alter egos on top of all of that is just gonna be quite messy. So to end, I want to say the alter ego system was great, but it could have been better. I'd love to see it return, but returning now would probably be an absolute shit show for the reasons I just stated. But yeah, I loved it. It was great. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. The league link is in the description.